off the evening, there's a brand new study on Nestle from Food and Water Watch, which you can get from their website called foodandwaterwatch.org in the US. Really good. It's more on the American situation and the fights against Nestle, but they have one interesting stat. In one particular place where they were able to keep Nestle out, if they had not been able to keep Nestle out, Nestle was going to make 127,000% profit. Why are we doing this tour? Well, we're on this tour to defend public water. Bottled water is expensive. Bottled water costs anywhere between 200 and 3,000 times more than you would pay for the water coming out of your tap, which has been tested and safe. First of all, bottled water is highly, highly polluting, both in the making of the plastic and the transportation of the plastic, and then in the getting rid of the plastic, right? It takes a huge amount of water of energy and oil to produce a plastic in the first place. About water in the world is this dispute about whether it's a commodity to be put on the open market for sale, or whether it, and then to be determined by the market, or whether it is a public trust, a commons, and a human right. Now they're selling whole areas of water, like whole watersheds. In Chile, this is one of the things that Pinochet did, one of the horrible, many horrible things he did, was privatize water and allow the sale of whole systems. No one should be dying because they cannot afford a glass of water, because no child should be dying a horrible, horrible death, and it is a horrible death from dirty water, because their parents could not afford to pay for it. Stunningly, you might not know that our government does not support the right to water in the UN. They give all sorts of reasons, but the true reason is that NAFTA says water is a tradable good. And to sign a covenant at the UN that says, no, it's not a tradable good, in fact, it's a human right, would be a contradiction of NAFTA, and that's the truth. There's both an ecological crisis, where we're running out of water, which we were all told wasn't possible back in about grade 6. We all learned that there's a hydrologic cycle, and it's fixed, and water can't go anywhere. Turns out that's not true. The world do consume, and this is a very conservative estimate, about 200 billion liters of water, commercial water, a year. Now, I took that stat, and I took a stat from another study that said that for every million bottles of water, we are putting 18,000 kilograms of CO2 emissions in the air. And I did the math, and that comes out to the global bottled water industry produces 4 million trillion kilograms of greenhouse gas emissions. It also, however, destroys water supplies. This is less known, that to make plastic takes 3 to 5 liters of water. To make 1 liter of plastic also uses water. And then, of course, additionally, the companies Coke and Pepsi that use tap water also destroy another 2 to 3 liters in their osmosis process. So there's way more water destroyed to bring you that little bottle of water than water in the first place. And then, of course, there's the groundwater extractions that take place. All the water companies are now moving into high schools, and they've got Aquapod. Nestle has Aquapod. It's shaped like a comet, and it goes on as a blast of fun is how they describe it. There's one called Kids Only, which teamed up with Bratz and Scooby-Doo and Superman, and so the kids are trading these bottles, and we should not be reusing these bottles. Cott and Disney have gotten together, and they have Finding Nemo and The Incredibles bottled water. So they really are clearly targeting kids. And I feel that our children deserve a commercial-free zone when they go to their schools. And it is just appalling that now they're being targeted in this way by the bottled water companies. What do we do? Well, obviously fighting bottled water and fighting for public water is only a piece of it. We have to do many, many things, from conservation to watershed protection, to naming water a public trust, to better food production, local food production. We have to keep water in our watersheds, which means we have to stop exporting so much of it away in the form of what's called virtual water, which is where you use your water to grow something that you then export. We have to invest in water infrastructure. The Federation of Canadian Municipalities says that we need $31 billion put into water infrastructure alone. There's all sorts of other infrastructure, but this is really important that we move ahead with this. This is an investment in our future. These are green jobs. We're in Sydney communities where people are hurting from the loss of jobs. The auto industry, we were in London and Windsor, people are hurting. These are good jobs. These are good jobs that could take us into the future. We have to invest. We have to invest in protecting our water sources. Stunningly, you might not know that our government does not support the right to water at the UN. They give all sorts of reasons, but the true reason is that NAFTA says water is a tradable good. And to sign a covenant at the UN that says, no, it's not a tradable good, in fact, it's a human right, would be a contradiction of NAFTA, and that's the truth. I'm doing some reading and writing about this concept of wild law. It's very interesting. It's beyond the public trust. Public trust basically says that everyone has access to certain public areas. So waterfronts and common water property, we all have the right to air and so on. But the notion of wild law goes further and says that nature has rights outside of us. And it's a next step in our thinking that we're going to have to go to as we take more and more of the world's goodies, right, for ourselves and leave less and less for nature. I work with a wonderful man named Rajendra Singh, who is called the Rain Man in India. He has greened Rajasthan, which is a desert area, and he's taken ancient techniques, water harvesting techniques, and he's brought water back. He's greened the desert. And he's been sued by the government, and he's been beaten up by thugs, that kind of paramilitary thugs the government sent in. The government has said this water, because he's created new rivers and lakes and ponds and stuff, and they said, well, now we own that water. And he says, no, you don't. So the people brought it back, and the people own it. But what's been lovely is it has liberated the young women in the community, because they no longer have to walk for 4 or 5 hours with their mothers to find water. And so it's been a fabulous liberation in so many ways. But Rajendra Singh, who is a great hero of many of ours, says, he talks about nature, he talks about the nature, and he says, for too long we have taken and taken and taken from the nature, and now we have to give back to the nature and understand that that's where all life comes from.